is gonna kill somebody. I swear to God, I'll crush your face.
He's terrorizing our neighborhood. He's absolutely terrorizing our neighborhood.
And why it took a 2 News investigation to get law enforcement and prosecutors to act.
Then, a 12-year-old boy dead, family members charged.
We want answers to what happened with poor little Gavin.
Community members ask why the state didn't step in earlier, as person after person made calls and reports saying the boy needed help.
We need to know why this little boy fell through the cracks.
What was their findings and why didn't they help him?
This is a special edition from 2 News.
Tonight, a 2 News investigates town hall of sorts on 2 different issues that have consumed Utah neighborhoods.
We'll dive into the startling questions of child safety that have come out after the tragic death of a 12-year-old boy in West Haven, despite warning after warning.
But first tonight, a neighborhood under siege and the systematic failure that left families living in fear.
you're gonna get somebody up here right now. This guy is gonna kill somebody. I swear to God, he is going up. He is threatening us. You've got to get somebody up here now. Get him here now. This is dangerous. Now I said somebody's gonna end up dying over this.
Our 2 News investigation uncovered Salt Lake City police have been called to this home where Maurice Raffoul lived with his parents more than 50 times, tying up your taxpayer dollars, responding to him, and that's not all.
Yeah, Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Holloran joining us now up here on the set with why this was just the start of these problems leading to a neighborhood living in fear. Wendy?
Well, that's right, Mark and Heidi. Maurice Raffoul is 44 years old. He attacked his family, threatened to kill his neighbors, leading them to live in fear. Court documents show Raffoul suffers from mental illness, and I'm about to show how all of this has led to a failure of the system, putting his neighbors' lives at risk. A warning, the content in this story may be graphic if you have children in the room.
A neighborhood gripped with fear.
Put your hands behind your back.
I feel like Maurice is a ticking time bomb waiting to happen.
You mother have been with me for how many years?
It's vile. It's terrible. Terrible.
The first interaction with him was him like doing this with his hand and saying tick tock, tick tock.
He's terrorizing our neighborhood. He's absolutely terrorizing our neighborhood.
August 23rd, 2022, armed with an arrest warrant for assaulting his dad, police show up at Maurice Raffoul's home, but he refuses to come out. A standoff follows.
Maurice! Hey, can you see me? Can you stand up and walk to me?
And then he appears.
You got him. We could be living the best life. We don't need to live here no more.
Police know his dad has an extensive gun collection in the house.
There's no guns. They're in the safe.
He's walked down the street.
And we're millionaires and can do whatever we want.
And then he starts in on the man who lives across the street from him.
Oh, we got the news. The guy from Channel 2 got me.
Raffoul believes that because Sean Hannon works for KUTV 2 News, that he hacked his electronic devices.
I have the ability to hack his computers, his Wi-Fi, his TV.
He has also stated in court that Hannon and his wife Cheryl are working for his aunt against him and his mother. Already out of jail, he calls 911 to get an officer to go with him to pick up some things from his parents' house.
What was your name?
Maurice. You guys know who I am, bro. You know who I am. You like that little piece on the TV last night, you liars?
Agitated, they're taking too long.
They're tied up
so
on
when
other
Texas
calls right now.
Toast calls,
We can't
when
keep
Texas
responding
Toast
to you
calls,
over and over
would
all
you
day long.
shut your hole up and get one of those mother here. Get my Uber here.
He goes to the house anyway.
That's my dad's money. That's to pay my bond.
You know you're not supposed to go back to the house, Maurice.
I've been waiting for y'all to come pick me up.
Well, here we are. Another day with Maurice. Yeah, always fantastic.
He starts in again on the Hannons. This time, Sean's wife is the target.
Cheryl, you ain't that. You guys want to put me back in jail?
We need help.
Where's your gun? Come out, let's do it. I'll crush your faces.
It took months for the Hannons to get a stalking injunction against him. A few months ago, he's yelling for Sean to come out.
I'll beat your Sean!
And yells Cheryl's name and states, dig a hole.
Cheryl! Get the hole!
Well, I took that as a threat that he was going to kill Sean.
If he goes to jail, they'll have him bailed out within less than 12 hours. They're enabling him.
This is a 108-page document Asad Raffoul sent to the court titled Bias Against Maurice Raffoul. He called a defense attorney Maurice fired a phantom lawyer, chastised another defense attorney for not calling back. After having spent a whole day waiting for your phone call, it is now 8:30 p.m. and no word from counsel Hakes. The same is true for Maurice. He has no clue what to expect tomorrow from the hearing. Are we supposed to call the butcher for guidance? The Hannons and their neighbors say prosecutors are not acting quick enough.
The process takes too long. They haven't even screened all of the videos.
The state's behavioral health services office has just failed him completely and us.
The policeman, he just said, our hands are tied. We're doing everything that we can to protect you.
After multiple reports on this issue and after we couldn't get any answers from the Salt Lake County Attorney's Office, Wendy took more action herself.
She contacted the executive director of the Utah Department of Corrections because Maurice Raffoul is on probation and being supervised by AP&P. They acted quickly to remove the threat from the neighborhood.
We had multiple agents and supervisors that were able to go and locate him at a department store, and upon exiting the department store, we took him into custody.
Once in custody, Raffoul was denied bail and not let directly back into the neighborhood as he had been before. And now to the next part in our 2 News investigation.
Yeah, Wendy uncovers how Raffoul tried to scare his neighbors from behind bars.
So your neighbor just received a letter from the Salt Lake County Metro Jail.
Because it just didn't make any sense. Why would Maurice write Sean a letter?
Take a close look at Maurice Raffoul's letter. It's addressed to Sean Brook. For starters, there is no Sean Brook at that address. Sean Bailey lives at that address.
911, what's your emergency?
The same Sean Bailey who called 911 pleading for help after Raffoul was off the rails, screaming he was going to kill his neighbors.
Chadwick Street, get him here now! This is getting bad, dude!
Maurice's dad, Asad, joined in. It's written on the wrong side of the paper but says, please stop this lawsuit or court case. I need out of jail and I will move out of the state ASAP.
I was just shocked that Maurice would send this to him to begin with.
But there's a problem. In the eyes of the law, this Sean is not a victim of Raffoul. He doesn't have a stalking injunction against Raffoul either. Sean Hannon, a KUTV employee who lives directly across the street from Raffoul and right next door to Sean Bailey, does. The Hannons believe Raffoul intentionally sent the letter to their neighbor knowing he would immediately show it to them. And that's precisely what happened.
The moment he got it, after he read it to his wife, he came over and showed it to us, and I was still in disbelief.
The Hannons believe Raffoul planned it this way so that he wouldn't violate the stalking injunction they have against him. The letter also says, my parents are really hurting. I just wanted them to move out of Utah and enjoy their old age more.
He had mentioned in the letter about his parents being elderly and going downhill, but I see them every day, and they are acting just the same.
The back of the envelope says, help me get out. I will leave Utah ASAP.
Why didn't he leave a year ago? Before he beat up his parents, before he started, screaming at us.
2 News Investigates found his dad staunchly defends his son. In fact, Asad has written multiple letters to the judge. In the latest one, he fired the attorney he hired to represent Maurice. You are a man who cannot be trusted. It was a huge mistake hiring you. You are a nightmare of a lawyer. The accusations so defamatory, the attorney got the court to seal the letter.
He and his father are master manipulators of the court systems.
Maurice's letter from jail now has neighbors gripped with fear he could soon get out.
I know that myself and my wife are going to have targets on our back, for sure.
Now, after that last report, Raffoul pleaded guilty to 6 counts of violating stalking injunctions.
Yeah, 2 News Investigates digs even deeper now and found those threatened in Louisiana didn't want action taken against Raffoul if it would bring him back to the state, and police agreed. Wendy?
Well, I uncovered a trove of documents, body camera footage, and recordings on file with the Lafayette Police Department. Maurice Raffoul is accused of making terroristic threats from right here in Salt Lake City over the last several years, crossing state lines. And yet no agency I could find has charged or prosecuted Raffoul for his alleged reign of terror in Louisiana. In fact, I found Louisiana authorities deemed him too dangerous to extradite back to Louisiana, and it became Salt Lake City's problem.
This was Maurice Raffoul in 2018 when he lived in Lafayette, Louisiana with his mom and operated rent-a-space storage facility. On this night, some units were broken into.
Mr. Maurice, it's not my vehicle.
Soon after, Raffoul would leave Louisiana with his mom and move back to Salt Lake City on Chadwick Street, where he is accused of leading a campaign of terror against his neighbors. But none of them seemed to know what he was doing to people he had come into contact with in Louisiana, and he was doing it right here from Salt Lake City.
Hi, this is the nurse, Adele. How can I help you?
Fast forward to May 5th, 2020.
Yeah, I was just on the line with the guy who's in charge of the hospital. You guys aren't running a hospital of any validity, ma'am. Okay? My name is Maurice Raffoul.
This isn't the hospital. This is the call center for COVID-19 to see if you need to be tested or not.
An irate Raffoul thinks he's calling Lafayette General Medical Center.
No. I don't need to be tested. I need people in your hospital arrested. I need people in your town arrested for committing organized crime against me. That's what I'm calling about. I'm in Utah, ma'am. I'm in Utah.
A Lafayette police report shows he threatened to come to Lafayette and smash heads at the hospital.
This ain't ever ending. I'm coming down there with my folks, and I'm going to smash your down. You hear me?
For years, police reports show Raffoul had been calling Lafayette General Medical Center stating that he was going to blow the hospital up and kill all staff and patients and murder the doctor who had him committed in 2018. Hospital officials did not wish to pursue charges, knowing Raffoul was staying in Salt Lake City. The investigator noted they didn't want him transported back to Lafayette and become a bigger and real threat.
Hey, Lance Fogelman, you lying motherfucker.
He left Dr. Fogelman this voicemail message explicitly saying he was going to kill the doctor and his wife. He knows what they look like and where they live.
You think this over, you little I know where you live, motherfucker. I know what your wife is. I'm gonna your labs up, you lying sack. How dare you try to drug me? I'm gonna maul you, you motherfucker. I'm gonna maul your town. I'm gonna murder your.
Now, Lafayette PD sent all of its reports documenting Raffoul's threats to an FBI agent in Lafayette for review. I reached out to the Salt Lake office of the FBI and was advised to submit a Freedom of Information Act request to the FBI in an effort to find out if they investigated. It came back months later. They denied my request. I contacted Dr. Fogelman and he said he appreciated me reaching out, but that he cannot comment.
All right, those scary recordings.
Hey, after the break, a bittersweet ending for victims of Maurice Raffoul after he is sentenced to prison.
Why some families say he'll never pay the full price for his years of terror.
Frankly, he needs to be in a secured facility that he cannot leave, and that is the Utah State Prison, Your Honor.
His course of conduct has been going on for more than 2 years now. You have been essentially a one-person crime spree and disruptor of neighborhood harmony for a very long time.
This neighborhood terror facing accountability. A judge sentencing Maurice Raffoul to time in prison.
Yeah, at his sentencing, we saw a different side of Maurice Raffoul. Under medication, he expressed remorse for what he had done. Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Holleran joining us again right now. Wendy?
Well, Mark and Heidi, in this report, you're going to hear Maurice Raffoul in his own words, and this time he's not screaming. You're also going to hear from a family in Louisiana who say he terrorized them, but never faced any consequences for his actions.
Maurice Raffoul, tearfully apologetic.
Your Honor,
I'm very sorry for the things that I'm in court for today. It's really humbling to be in this situation.
As he faced Judge William Kendall last month.
You know, I can't control the things from the past. They happened. I'm sorry. It won't happen again.
Forcibly medicated.
I plan on staying on this medication. I want to be a part of society.
Saying his parents bore the brunt of his actions.
I'm very, very sorry that I caused anybody grief. I'm sorry to my parents. You know, they're the ones that really took a lot of unusual behavior. And I don't want to be that person.
Pleading to go to a treatment program.
I don't want to just be thrown in prison where I don't think that's really the place for me.
His dad Assad, we were not allowed to show, casting blame.
I will not comment on the despicable yellow journalism practiced by Channel 2. Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Kendall deciding prison is the only option to keep the public safe. While his victims here are relieved.
It means everything because this has been a really hard road.
2 News Investigates uncovered more than a dozen people in Louisiana he terrorized without consequences.
Haven't seen him in over 2 years.
In January 2021, Raffoul set his sights on a mom, dad, and son he knew.
And I told him your best bet is to go back to Utah.
Records show Maurice first threatened his son on Instagram.
There will be bloodshed. My son said he's told him in the past that he does have a weapon. Guns, plural.
On this night, he called them from Salt Lake City.
He said, this is going to be bad for your husband and your son. Call them by name. This is not a nuisance. This was a threat. I couldn't understand what he said, but he said, in your city. So I don't know if that means he's in my city tonight. If he's coming to my city, I don't know.
He then said that this...
Language so vulgar, she handed the phone to her son.
I felt that we were in danger. My husband, my son, and myself. I didn't know if he was outside my door with a gun. I didn't know where he was.
Her son said he first met Raffoul at the gym.
He seemed normal at first, but then over time, it seemed like a lot of paranoia. Like, you know, just people were out to get him.
Including law enforcement.
He felt like police were watching him. I don't know if he's back here, you know, and he had said in the past that he has a gun, you know, so it's kind of a little, you know, scary and stuff. He knows where we live. He does know our address for sure.
The call came from...
It's area code 801.
The uncertainty of where he actually was gripped the family with fear.
That's his voice. It was Maurice for sure.
I contacted this family, but they did not return repeated calls or emails. I let them know Raffoul is now in prison, though. It is not clear how long Raffoul will be there since Utah has indeterminate sentencing. It will be up to the parole board. Now, I have found no record of any prosecution of Raffoul for what he did to countless Louisianans right here in Salt Lake City.
All right, Wendy, thank you. We've got more of this story coming up.
Yeah, still to come, our 2 News Investigates Town Hall. We're going to speak with the homeowner who lived through this. We'll ask about what they went through and how it could happen anywhere. Welcome back. We continue our 2 News Investigates Town Hall tonight. For this segment on Maurice Raffoul, we wanted to welcome Sean Hannon, who actually lived through this in his Salt Lake neighborhood and contacted police dozens of times about all of this.
That's right. Sean, thanks for being with us. How long did this go on for until we finally got to the end here where he's behind bars and hopefully getting some help?
So it actually began around 2018, 2019.
So this is a long time.
Yes, and it was a slow process, but it really finally accumulated in 2021, 23. Yeah, 21. Sorry.
Was he a kind neighbor early on? Did you see a deterioration of him as it went on, or was he a good neighbor in the neighborhood?
So we moved in 2003, and everything was normal. It was a nice neighborhood, and about 2014, 2015, he left, went to Louisiana. He comes back about 2018, and that's when all the stuff started happening. And we're out on our lawn, and he decides he's just gonna go off on us.
Yeah, had to be scary.
Oh, it absolutely was. At first it wasn't scary because we didn't know what we were dealing with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And this was obviously an extreme example of what can happen in neighborhoods, but I mean, there's probably other families who are dealing with maybe unstable family members that create problems within the home and the neighborhood. Were there others in the neighborhood when you were outside talking to your neighbors where they're like, oh, we're worried or we're concerned about the situation?
So our neighbor next door, Sean Bailey, his security camera would catch either in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day when no one is around, when Maurice would come out and he would rant and rave and would scream vulgarities at everybody, but mostly trying to threaten me and my wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wendy, you were accused of despicable journalism throughout this process, and you were just trying to help this family. It seems like his father had some issues too. Did you notice that over the course of when all this was going on?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. His father, Assad, definitely had maybe some mental instability as well. And I did notice that he seemed to enable his son, if you will.
Absolutely.
You witnessed that firsthand. His son could do no wrong. His son wasn't mentally ill. He didn't want his son medicated. He was vehemently against it. And he justified the behavior, saying that they've got it all wrong, basically. And he also engaged in writing delusional, rambling emails to the judge in this case, which were extraordinarily complicated, well written, but with a tone that was completely unrealistic. Defied reality, basically. The same kind of writings that Maurice wrote to the court.
And I'm sure this is difficult for families if it's a father and a son or whatever the situation is in your neighborhood where they're trying to figure out family issues, but people had to call police in this situation. Did you find with your reporting that police are well equipped to deal with this, or do they have some gray area too where when someone like Sean calls, there's nothing much they can do other than call and say, okay, everyone be nice, and then leave?
Well, they realized early on, after hundreds of calls to this house over 3 decades basically, that they were dealing with a mentally ill individual who had a father who was just, not medicating the situation at all. They knew he had violent tendencies. In fact, he assaulted 2 Salt Lake City police officers and was convicted of that. So they knew how to deal with him, but it was tying up the 911 system, tying up Salt Lake police resources, and absolutely terrorizing this neighborhood. And the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office, I give them full credit now, but they were slow to respond to my request early on, slow to screen the videos that everybody provided to them, and slow to prosecute Maurice Raffoul. So I had to ramp up the pressure, and the DA did come back and disparaged me publicly when I tried to get answers for this neighborhood. Sean witnessed that. You can speak to that, the terror that you and your wife have been subjected to, particularly your wife. Maurice Raffoul told her to get a shovel out and dig 6 feet.
Absolutely. And it wasn't till we went back and witnessed the videotape of what he had said. We didn't really believe it. We had to play it over and over again. But yeah, it was very scary, very for sure.
Sean, we're running out of time, but is this over?
I hope so. I can only hope that he stays on his medication and that he's not allowed to be back in that neighborhood. And before we go, I just want to thank a couple of people, if that's possible.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank Sergeant North from the Salt Lake City Police Department. Absolutely got us started in the right direction. Carrie Bobo, our victims advocate, was always there for us. And the neighbors who actually got involved and supported us, we really want to thank them. And of course, we want to thank Wendy, because this wouldn't happen had she not gotten involved and moved this forward, because it was just in quicksand at the point until she got involved and really got him into prison now.
Right.
All right, sounds like it was just going in circles for a while there. Hopefully everyone's in a better place right now. Sean, Wendy, both of you, thank you for talking to us about this situation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope it's a much quieter neighborhood now and you guys get a little bit of peace.
Normal.
But I know you're keeping an eye on this case too.
Absolutely.
And I know you are too, Wendy.
Absolutely. We will continue to follow it.
All right, guys, thank you. And here at KUTV, we are committed to digging deeper into the issues you care about and the issues that impact our communities. If you have a story you want 2 News to look into, our investigative team is here for you. You can send them an email at the address on your screen right there. It's investigates@KUTV.com.
I wish I could say it was shocking, but it's not.
As our 2 News Investigates Town Hall continues, a Utah child's tragic death has now led many to ask why the state did not step in after some in the community said he needed protection. That's ahead.
This is a special edition from 2 News.
We begin this half hour of our 2 News Town Hall focusing on the death of a 12-year-old Gavin Peterson in West Haven. The young victim's dad, stepmom, and brother all under arrest, each of them now facing charges for child abuse homicide.
Yeah, neighbors near the West Haven home where authorities say Peterson died from neglect and abuse are not shocked by the accusations against the family. Ariel Harrison has more on the details of what's been happening inside that home.
I wish we would have called more.
A neighbor in the West Haven community who wanted to stay off camera says he personally reported the family to police multiple times.
I wish I could say it was shocking, but it's not.
He says for the past 10 years, the parents Shane Peterson and Nicole Scott have been aggressive and hostile to his wife and kids.
3 or 4 cameras pointed right in my backyard and bathroom windows.
Why?
Great question.
In each of the suspect's arrest documents, investigators noted cameras around the victim's home, along with deleted cell phone video files of the child in his room. A search warrant of the parents' and brother's phones revealed conversations about locking the child's door, whether he'd been fed that day, and even hitting or beating the child.
Clearly, there has been a long pattern of abuse.
Kristen Floyd, a child advocate and licensed clinical mental health worker, read over the arrest documents of the case. I asked her to weigh in.
What to you was the most egregious?
I mean, clearly, if the age of the child and the fact that he was being fed just minimal amounts.
Floyd also noted the orchestration of the abuse spelled out in arrest documents among the family members.
They had it on camera and they were text messaging, that back and forth. And so, they knew what they were doing.
After the 21-year-old brother was arrested today, authorities issued a press release and directed my questions about the case to the county attorney, Christopher Allred. I called and requested to speak with him, but never heard back. I sent an email asking if DCFS was made aware of the boy before he died last week, as neighbors claim. Information Floyd says will be key moving forward.
Were they going into the home? Were they really doing a complete investigation? Those are the questions I would want answered.
A couple weeks after the death of Gavin Peterson, the community members came together to voice their displeasure with DCFS, why they're worried other kids might be slipping through the cracks as well. Hey, welcome back now to the next part of this investigation into the death of little 12-year-old Gavin Peterson in West Haven.
A few weeks after the arrest of Gavin's family members, protesters came together demanding transparency and also answers from the Department of Child and Family Services regarding its handling of Gavin's case.
Yeah, authorities believe that he starved to death at the hands of his father, his stepmom, and his brother. Ariel Harrison joining us for that part of the story tonight. It's a story that really broke a lot of our hearts, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the protest for Gavin, it happened at an Ogden City Park. I spoke with the organizer who will be joining us on set in just about 10 minutes. At the protest that night, she told me about the group's intentions with the continued push for answers from DCFS.
We want answers to what happened with poor little Gavin.
Approaching 1 month since 12-year-old Gavin Peterson's death, Sabrina Tracy says the calls for answers are getting louder.
We want to know where we failed him, where we went wrong.
Since the death and the arrest of Gavin's family members, state officials have released little to no information on the case, citing privacy laws. However, community members like Tracy say this is a case that warrants answers. She reached out to DCFS directly, demanding that, and received a response, she says, after speaking out in our newscast last week.
Some of it was a little vague, but it did said DCFS has policies and guidelines driven by Utah code and federal guidelines that direct and guide our practices when working with families. Gavin's case will be reviewed by the Department of Health and Human Services.
Tracy said the response went on to discuss an upcoming legislative meeting where DCFS will go over the case with an oversight committee. It's something the chair of that panel told us about last week.
Setting it up for September, we need to know why this little boy fell through the cracks.
That meeting's happening in September. It's
Yes.
still quite a ways away.
Too long. Too long. There was a life lost and a horrific the way he died. That is too long.
Today, I reached out to DCFS ahead of the protest to ask whether they had any intention to respond to the community concerns. I did not hear back by my deadline.
What are you hoping they come out and say?
What happened? Where the hiccup slide, where the ball dropped, and specifically what they're going to do to fix it. We need change and we need it quick so this doesn't happen anymore.
Now, on the night of the protest, I received a lengthy statement from DCFS. In it, they said they recognize the need for the public that it has for answers from the agency. They also listed several reviews that are taking place: an internal DCFS review, a review from the State Department of Health and Human Services, and then a third review from an independent committee.
All right, a lot of good information, Ariel. Thank you.
The people who are accountable for this are the people who abused this child.
Still to come on our 2 News Investigates Town Hall, Utah Governor Spencer Cox reacting to the case.
His response when asked about the concerns community members have voiced throughout our investigation. That's coming up next.
They are going to be held accountable, and I hope they rot in hell.
Very strong language coming from Governor Spencer Cox more than 2 months since 12-year-old West Haven boy's death from alleged starvation at the hands of his family members.
We spoke with the governor about the child abuse homicide case. Ariel Harrison joins us back again in studio for this part of the investigation. Ariel.
Yeah, Heidi, Mark, I've asked the governor to talk on this in the past. A few weeks ago was his first time, we believe, publicly discussing the Gavin Peterson case that's been so upsetting to so many of us all across the state. Today, in his monthly press conference with reporters, I asked Governor Cox about concerns community members have voiced to me as I've reported Gavin Peterson's story. His father, stepmom, and brother are currently behind bars, each accused of playing a role in his death of alleged starvation and severe abuse and neglect. During the press conference today, I asked him about Gavin's case.
Many reports were filed to the state on his behalf. As I've been working on these stories reporting, concerns continue to come up about staffing and funding regarding DCFS. Governor, are you aware of these concerns, and what are you doing about it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And thanks for your reporting on that terrible, tragic case that should never happen, obviously. Child abuse is incredibly disturbing, and I hate that we live in a time where it still continues. We have incredible workers at DCFS, just some of the best in the state, and it's sadly it's impossible to find and root out every single case of child abuse that occurs. We could use some more caseworkers, for sure. Social services is one sector that's been particularly hard hit. Turnover is happening more rapidly than it used to in the past. We've done some things. We've elevated wages there to try to keep people here, keep them longer.
Since Gavin had been pulled from public school leading up to his death, the governor was also asked today about safeguards when it comes to homeschooling. Here was his response.
The people who are accountable for this are the people who abused this child, and they are going to be held accountable, and I hope they rot in hell. They are the people responsible. It's not the government going into everyone's homes and everybody who's homeschooling.
Now, the governor says that their efforts to fund DCFS are ongoing and is something they've been working on. I did ask if he is supportive of more funding in that regard. He told me he is. Gavin's family members, Mark and Heidi, are scheduled back in court for their preliminary hearings next week.
All right, Ariel, thank you very much. Coming up after the break, we'll be joined in studio by a West Haven community member who's helped organize some of these events over the past couple of months.
The answer she's hoping to get, and also the impact this case has had on the entire community.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our 2 News Investigates Town Hall. We're focusing on the death investigation of little 12-year-old Gavin Peterson. It happened in West Haven. And
joining us on set right now is Sabrina Tracy. And Sabrina, you've been helping organize some of the events in your community, actually reached out to DCFS directly. So what has the response been like to you? Has it been satisfactory?
Actually, it has not. They have responded and they have been good about that, but the response is very vague. It's essentially like, we appreciate you reaching out. We acknowledge that there's a lot of people in the community that want answers, that are angry. But essentially it's still under a review, fatality review. They can't give that information. There's a CAPTA information that I brought to their attention that's basically tells them that I know there's certain things that they can let us know about. And so they do their yearly reporting and all that they gave a copy of. But other than that, it's been not a really good success story, honestly. And then when I've reached out to the constituent's office with the governor, I've got no response from them. So.
Why did you decide to take up this fight? Because I think I heard you say one time that Gavin doesn't have a voice, but you're trying to be that voice, but it's just not you.
Yes.
And a lot of people think changes need to be made at DCFS, and that probably starts with the state and our lawmakers. Are you getting any satisfaction about that?
I'm not. And see, I've had my own personal experiences with DCFS. I had some cute little grandnephews that were in the system that got removed from a home. And from start to finish, it took over 2 years to get the warrants. This individual in my family took the kids out of school, hid them in the home. And so when I heard about this, it hit hard because my little grandnephews could have been in the same situation. And it just, they just don't take things as serious as they should. And I don't know why, I don't know how to fix that, but when you call in, it's very long amounts of time between communications and where they're at with things and investigation and getting the warrants to get the children safe.
We know that there were lunch workers, people at the school, people in the neighborhood who'd called DCFS. You've done a lot of legwork in investigating yourself to figure out what the best process is. Is there anything you've learned along the way for others if they have concerns and they're calling that they should know about if they're trying to make a report?
Yes, keep calling. Bug them, call them every day. That's where I feel like I got so emotional with Gavin, is it's like I know as what I did for my little guys is if I hadn't have been persevering that way and called constantly and bothered them, it would have been a closed case. And that's the reality. It would have just been a closed case.
You kind of became a first name basis. They knew you by name.
Yes. They were like, oh, here she is again. But you know, that's what you got to do and it's so difficult also for these workers to get the judge to sign the warrants. It really is. There's a disconnect there, and that really needs to be addressed.
And Ariel, I know that you've been doing a lot of reporting on this. Are these calls like she made concerning her family and the calls that were made by Gavin, were those documented correctly and were they looked at or were they ignored?
I feel like that's what we're still trying to figure out in some of my reporting and the meetings that we have coming up. I know that they're meeting at the legislature October 10th. That's something we're going to be looking into, and I know Sabrina's interested in that as well.
Yeah.
And I think one of the concerns is the lack of information, and we know in news here in Utah that you actually have to put requests in. They call them grandma requests in Utah. Some things they can give you, some things they can't, and in cases with kids, we can't get a lot of information. Have you been told about anything specifically that will be released in the case that people can wait and know that's coming our way?
I feel as I've asked lawmakers, they've just assured me this will be a discussion. We'll be meeting with DCFS. For instance, I know in the meeting that's coming up with the Child Oversight Panel at the legislature on October 10th, which is the same day as the preliminary hearings in Ogden or Weber County, that part of that will be public where people like Sabrina could come attend and address the committee. DCFS will be present, but then there will be a closed door part of it as well, where they step behind closed doors and they have that discussion with DCFS and ask them questions. From what I've had in those conversations, it still isn't clear to me what they'll be able to share at that point. I know that for me in my position as a reporter here, we're working to get those answers, and there are things coming up that we hope to share soon with the public in this coverage.
Sabrina, final thoughts. You have 15 seconds. You're going to keep fighting?
I am. If they don't come out with some transparency, which they have said they would do, at least to where they can from the legality standpoint, there is protection with families and so forth, and I respect that. But we as a community, we need answers, we need change. These little guys need us to fight for them.
Thanks for coming out with us tonight.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks for joining us for this special edition of 2 News at 9. We'll be back.